Yo, yo, it's JSF. How y'all doing? Hope y'all doing all right. I want to talk about fighting games for a little bit. I do want to talk about Mortal Kombat, but I want to talk about fighting games in the general FGC landscape currently. We did just have the We Play Ultimate Fighting League Season 1 tournament for Mortal Kombat 11 this past weekend. Sonic Fox won. It was an amazing tournament. It actually made me want to watch this game for once in my life. So it was really cool. Shout out to everybody involved in it and everybody who competed in that. Great. But something I found very, very interesting is at the peak of the tournament, right? I believe there was about 11,000, maybe 12,000 people watching that tournament. But if you boot up this game, you will never find that many people playing this game. At least from my experiences, that's what it seemed like. I know it's nowhere near it on PC. On console, it doesn't feel much better. But the important thing and something that's interesting that I'm not sure a lot of people realize is there's kind of just a fighting game drought right now. We're just kind of in that situation in that moment. You could argue that the whole gaming landscape in general is kind of slowed down due to like COVID and stuff like that. But I think fighting games in particular were hit pretty hard with this. NRS games for sure, right? Especially when you consider the fact, we know the NRS cycle, 2019, this game came out. Usually there would be a next game, let's say Injustice 3 would be dropping in a few weeks if things were normal, right? If we were in a normal timeline. Sadly, we are now in an alternate timeline and things are very, very, very different. So this game, right? Like I talked about, the We Play tournament happened, but this game is still what I would call a dead game. I mean, I think hell, even MK Rio did a stream the other day saying why MK11 is dying. You know what I mean? So I'm not the only one who looks at the game this way, thinks the game is on its last legs, it's almost over, it's dead. And NRS hasn't supported the game. I mean, other than a tiny patch to fix like Dragon Stance and slightly tweak some health, they haven't really patched or touched the game since Ultimate. All they've done is kind of fix bugs and slightly tweak things. Usually when they do stuff like that, that means they're not doing a big patch. They could, but it usually is a sign of that, especially when they're this quiet, right? This is the longest they've been dark for. From Aftermath to Ultimate wasn't this long before Ed Boon started teasing stuff, right? We're a few days away from April, and that'll be what, the 5th month since Ultimate dropped that we've heard absolutely nothing. Radio silence, but we know NRS is working, right? And if you look at other games across the FGC, right, it's kind of a similar issue because this game, Mortal Kombat 11, is one of the newer FGC games, right? This game came out in 2019. The only game newer than this that is like really a game that's been kind of picked up by the FGC, having tournaments, and stuff like that, was Grand Blue Fantasy, and that game was dead on arrival in the US, right? Never really found an audience in the US, which I think is kind of sad because Grand Blue Fantasy Versus is a really good fighting game. It's got some nonsense in it, like every fighting game did at the start, and it had a very small roster, but at its core, it's a really good fighting game, and it fits a lot of people. Like, I think Mortal Kombat players could have enjoyed it, Street Fighter players could have enjoyed it, but, things didn't really go that way, so that game kind of fizzled out. They're still releasing, I think, a couple of characters they got left for their second season, but, I mean, it's not like a lot of people are really checking for that game. The numbers on Twitch are always mad low. It's really just like NOBC running tournaments for it. I don't even know if they're doing online Wednesday night fights for it anymore. Same with Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? The last DLC character for Season 3, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, released, a few weeks ago. And he's cool. A lot of people, enjoyed the character and he came out and stuff like that. But it seems like that's the end of support for DBFZ, aside from one more balance patch that they kind of hinted that they were going to do. But as far as a new season, new characters, a Season 4, they haven't really committed to that. They haven't really said they're going to do that. And I think they're probably not, right? A lot of people want rollback netcode in that game because the netcode in that game is really, really rough. So a lot of people want that, and I don't think they can put that in the game. Well, they can, but I don't think that they're trying to do that. I think they'd rather work on something new. And again, even if you look at Street Fighter V at this point, right? Street Fighter V came out in 2016, right? So this game has been around the longest. Dragon Ball FighterZ came out in January 2018. So it's been over 3 years of that game, and it seems to be, you know, at the end of its life cycle. Like this year will probably be the end of it, unless the community just keeps it going, right? And then with Street Fighter V, that's kind of the situation where they're on their last cycle, and where Street Fighter V was actually supposed to be over. Like Seth was supposed to be the last character. Champion Edition was supposed to be the end of the game, but they botched Street Fighter 6. If you guys don't know, there were a bunch of leaks, a bunch of information came out. Yoshinori Ono, who used to be like one of the designers and one of the producers on Street Fighter V, one of the, you know, the guy who always made everybody say Shoryuken at Evo, you know, he was kind of forced to step down and, you know, kind of fired, but not really, you know how they do in Japan. So, you know, they had to do a lot of reshuffling. That's why you see new faces. They're going to do a spring update in a couple, I believe a week and a half. For Street Fighter V, talking about Rose and Oro, but after they release like the last 3 characters they have for that game, that's it for that game too, right? So like every major fighting game that's been around, that's been in the FGC, right? For those of us who play competitive fighting games, who, you know, pay attention to the tournament circuit or compete in tournaments and stuff like that, every single game is kind of at the end of its life. Hell, even Tekken, right? Tekken just released a new character, but Tekken's been out for like 6 years or something, actually. Like, Tekken 7 came out a while ago. Like, and it's cool that Tekken's still releasing characters, but that game has been out since 2015. I'm my mistake saying Street Fighter V is the oldest. No, Tekken 7 is. And it's cool that they still release a character every now and then, but it isn't like you're going to get a major, well, you can still get patches and whatnot, but that game is like, you know, it's in the further part out of his life. And I'm not gonna act like I'm a Tekken expert. I know very little about Tekken, but I'm just saying it's been a while since we've got a game that's pretty new, or the game that's in its prime, right? Like Street Fighter V wasn't in its prime until like late season 2-ish, right? Or you can say season 3-ish, right? Dragon Ball FighterZ wasn't in its prime until like after the end of season 1, after all the DLC dropped, and season 2 started. And season 2 was good until GT Goku came out. and then that was okay until UI Goku came out. But yeah, so with Mortal Kombat, I know it looks like this game is done too, and it looks like, damn, what is there to do? What games are there to play? But that's kind of just the state of the FGC right now. With all these fighting games, they're kind of all like, I don't want to say dying, but they're kind of all getting to the point where it's like, okay, this game is like not as exciting as it once was. It's kind of getting dry, or it's like, oh, we know we're not getting a patch, or we're not getting a massive overhaul patch very soon. Street Fighter just got their massive overhaul patch. Mortal Kombat's probably not getting patched ever again. Dragon Ball might get one more patch and then that's it. And that's just kind of where we're at in the FGC. It kind of sucks, you know, being in a fighting game drought is what I'll call it, you know, 2020, 2021 fighting game drought. You could argue it's due to just timing on things. Like, remember when the new consoles just dropped last November? And I'm sure if you put out a new game, it's going to be on next-gen hardware, right? So if they were gearing up to release a game on PS4, PS4 and Xbox One, they might have had to push it back. COVID was already a thing, so they might have had to push it back because of that. So it's kind of, we're in that boat where it's kind of just like, we got to wait and see. Riot Games is obviously going to come out with Project L at some point. And people are waiting on that, but again, we don't even have an we have an announcement, but we don't even have a second of gameplay really for that game, so we can't really wait on that. But yeah, man, the FGC is just kind of in a stale spot, which sucks because I love fighting games and I love a lot of fighting games, but that's kind of where we are at the moment. I do wish there was more like transparency and more like honesty, like, hey, here's what's going on, here's what we're working on. I think that's something a lot of fighting game devs really could be better at, and on some just game developers in general, right? Like, I don't think it hurts to let your community or let your fans know what you're working on. I don't think that like is a bad thing. Like if NetherRealm was like, hey, we're working on Injustice 3, or you know what I mean? Like we would be like, holy shit, that's cool. Like they could announce it, or they could show a gameplay. They could show like a CG trailer and then not show us gameplay for 2 months or something, right? Like they don't, like, it's not like you have to rush to roll everything out in 3, 4, 5 months, like how they did with MK11. I don't know why they did that. You can spread a rollout for a new game over the course of a year, even longer. Hell, especially if you're doing betas. Like Guilty Gear Strive got announced like 2 years ago and it's still not out. You know what I mean? And that's another game. Guilty Gear Strive is like, expected to be the next game to kind of pick up, you know, in the middle of the FGC drought. And it would have been great if it would have dropped in April, because it would have been dropping in like 2 weeks, but it got pushed back for good reason. You know, they want to fine tune it. The netcode is amazing. We played it, you know, felt great. The lobby system was trash, and I believe that's what they're fixing. So, you know, until that game drops in June 11th, we're probably just going to be in this drought. Hopefully we get some news very soon, what's going on with, you know, well, Street Fighter's giving us some news in about a week, so that's good. Hopefully we get some news from NetherRealm or whatever they're working on in the next 2 months. And yeah, man, that's just where we're at right now. So if it seems like there isn't much new going on, much new information, stuff like that, or it's kind of just like bleeding out the games that are currently out, that's kind of just all we have at the moment. That's kind of just where we're at. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. Are there any fighting games you're looking forward to? Any fighting games y'all really interested in? If Mortal Kombat's dead, are you guys playing Street Fighter? Are you playing Dragon Ball? Are you waiting for Strive? Are you playing Tekken, Soul Calibur? What are you guys into? I would love to know. Leave some comments for your boy. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Other than that, man, y'all stay safe and have fun. I'm going to get up out of here. JSF, I'm outie. Peace.